on?
Hello everybody, it's me, and I'm here all on my own tonight. Who have we got out there? We've got out there already. We've got Matt Collins and Andrew Marlowe. We've got Maliki sticking his fingers together. Johnny Milan is on the call. Hello Johnny. Matt's here. I already said Matt's name. What am I talking about? And Milky Paints. And Milky says wee, because he's going to try and do his best to make it feel like still the football's on in the background, even when it's just little old me nattering away. So there's 6 of you at the minute. I'm guessing a large chunk of our patronage of these evening chats might be off watching something on telly. I don't know what it is, some kind of Sunday League football thing or something or other. I'm not really that up on the whole thing myself, to be honest. But here we are. We're here tonight. We're going to be announcing a Hedkrakka and the Silent Menace giveaway later on this afternoon. Probably going to be around 11ish. Well, half 10, 11 o'clock, something like that, because we like to keep the suspense going there. And we're also going to be talking just about general stuff to do with Underworlds, hobby in general, anything like that. So if you've got any questions or anything you think would be a good subject to talk about, then do let me know. And maybe we'll start chatting about it. Robin will be along later once he's finished watching the football, because obviously we all know where his, where his priorities are. But there we go. So anyway, let's crash on. Now, before we get going this evening, I had a little announcement to make. One of the community, Brandon Huss, people probably know Brandon, his son is organising a fundraising tournament. His son, Taylor Huss, also known as the Skull Avenger via Discord, he has been on some of these straight out of Shadespire tournaments and done pretty well. In fact, I think he was playing Sepulchral Guard, of which we played his deck a week or so ago, and the games will be coming up soon. And he is working with the one and only Aman himself to organise a online Underworlds tournament as a fundraiser for his Equal Scout project. So he's they're raising some money for a youth at Village Church in Columbia, South Carolina, and he's asking for donations to help fund the project. So obviously you can join in the tournament online, and you can donate at the same time. I have his email address. I will stick that in the comments now. If you don't get it, but you are interested, do leave a comment below, and we can send it out. Very wary of posting these kind of things online, so just to be careful, just be safe. I might stick it in the description as well, but anonymise it a little bit, just to stop the bots, basically. He's hoping to raise £250, and I really hope he can get there. We're going to try and big up the whole event as much as possible. Additional funds are going to be raised towards the fire pit and various other stuff that's going into it. The proposed current date for the tournament is July the 31st through to August the 1st. So it's going to be like a two-day event. It will be a championship format, and any far lists or FAQs from GW will be valid up to 7 days before the tournament. The prize for the winner of the entire tournament will be receiving an engraved shade glass trophy with the tournament name and their name. I mean, you can get glass in a lot of places, but rarely do you get it engraved with your name, so I think that might be a pretty nice one to stick on the old I was going to say balcony, but you wouldn't stick on the balcony. Matt, maybe that's another one for your collection. Not a lot of people are going to have one like that. The player who has the best performance for each warband will also receive activation tokens for that warband. So that's quite nice. If you take a fairly unknown warband, or one of the less picked ones, you could be guaranteeing yourself some activation tokens. That'd be quite snazzy too. So if you want to register for that, you need to go to Best Coast Pairings, and I will stick again that link in the chat here, and I will stick it in the description later on. But please do go check it out. If you are free, do join in, raise a little bit of money for them. It's always nice, and it's an online tournament where you can get a bit of glass with your name on, which there's not many of those going around, and maybe you get some activation tokens for your warband. So nice work there to Taylor and Aman. I hope you guys are really successful, and we will continue to shout out about that one, so do go check it out. So that's the announcements. Like I said, we will be covering the actual who the winner is of the competition a little later on this afternoon. So we've had a few more join us since I started talking, so let's see what else we've got going on here. Maliki says a sexy webcam tournament coming up. Not on the Underworlds one, I don't think. I mean, it wouldn't be sexy anyway. But unless you were talking about the thing I was just mentioning. John Grant's in the house. Hello, John. Drop Bear is also in the house. He's a little bit late, he says. To be fair, normally we're a little bit late because, Robin and technology. So, no Robin this afternoon to start with. So, less technology to get in the way. Mr. Marlowe's already in. Laura Bates is in. Hello, Laura. And Betty82 says, God evening. God evening. And Ildefonse says, good evening. Hello to everybody, and thank you for joining me. I'm assuming everybody here is either watching the football in the background or isn't into that much football as it is. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of football. Sometimes I'll watch the England games, but if I'm busy, like tonight, then I'll just put it on the back burner because, frankly, I don't care that much about it. But Robin cares a little bit more about it, so he's watching. I don't know if he's watching it with one of his boys. Whatever, who cares? Underworlds doesn't stop for nobody. Yes, Lazarus, I think football has stolen Robin away for a little while, but he will be here in the next half an hour or so. So we're just going to crash on without it. See, that's the problem when you're doing all this stuff solo and you need a cup of tea. There's nobody to start filling the gaps. So, like I say, we're going to be announcing the winner in a little while for Hedkrakka and the Silent Menace pack. And in the meantime, we've just got a load of questions from one of our patrons, Mr. Marlowe, that I'm just going to start going through and talking about and umming and ahhing over. And Robin will probably join in at some point. And then he'll jump in if you've got any questions or anything you want to add to any of the questions that Andrew's asked. Then do shout them out as well. Dropbear says, 22 millionaires chasing a bag of wind around the field. No thanks. I can't agree more, to be honest. I mean, at least with the Euro Cup and the World Cup, you've got there's some kind of national pride thing, maybe. I mean, even then, that's a tenuous link these days, and the whole idea of nationality and being the big thing is kind of a bit worrying these days, especially with things like Brexit being so out there and nationalism being such a thing. But at least when you had the Euro, it was like England or whichever country you're from. Same with the World Cup as well. But for me, even like things like the Premiership, I don't see the point in that. It's just a load of rich people, rolling around on the floor whenever they get grazed by a bumblebee or something. Why? I don't get it. I don't see the. Take me back to the days of football when footballers had to have a weekend job or whatever to actually pay the bills. Matt Milky does point out if someone offered him £1 million to do his job, he wouldn't say no. I'm sure everybody's in the same boat. Nobody would say no to that kind of money. Are they worth it though? I'd say not, but such is the mental world of all this kind of stuff. Laura says she got out of football when she got into Warhammer, so were you hoping to be a professional football player before you gave up that life and started to become a Underworlds player, Laura? Going to football games was probably cheaper. I'm not sure if it is these days though. It's expensive, like all these kind of things, and yeah. Anyway, Laura had to hang up her football boots after the fateful summer of '99, and blame the corporations, not the players, says Malky. Maybe, I mean, you can't pay some of these people this money without some of it going to their heads. Although, saying that, I was never a massive fan of Ronaldo. I thought he was a bit of a bellend, because he kind of looks like a bit of a bellend. But actually, I've read some stuff in the last few years about him that says he's an absolutely bang-up, really nice guy. So, just goes to show you. It's not all of them. GAA here is amateur. What's GAA? Something. I couldn't guess any of the letters, actually, on that one. All players have jobs. I think that's the way it should be. But anyway, as has been said, blame the corporations, not the players. Everyone would do it if they've got paid that money. I mean, they could pay me half as much. I'd play a game every day, and I wouldn't stop running. I'd do laps of the pitch when I wasn't on. I'd juggle. I'd just keep doing stuff to keep them entertained and I do it for half the price. So, give me a call. Gaelic football and hurling. Is the hurling after the Gaelic football when you get punched in the gut and you have to throw up? I'm joking. Anyway. The England players all gave their match fee to charity. Well, that's very nice then. I'm going to shut my mouth about them then. That is a nice thing to do. I mean, it's hard to when you've got like Rashford on the pitch, I mean, that man is a bit of a saint in some ways to a lot of people now, rightly so for some of the work he's done. And yeah, standing on the pitch next to him, you're going to have to do a lot to yeah. Anyway. Not going to talk about football anymore. It's football. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people don't care if it exists or not. Let's crash on. Wolfman Gaz in the house. Hello, Wolfman Gaz. You have come in just as I said. We're not talking about football anymore. So if you've got anything to say about football, you could probably say it anyway. It's not like we're going to be strict about these kind of things. So let's crash on with some questions. Like I say, I'm going to read the questions out, and I'm going to and ah and jabber on about them a little bit. And if you have any thoughts or opinions on any of it, or if you want to ask any questions or anything like that, just shout them out. We are now, Underworlds has all, come out for Chasm. We're going to have to start thinking about other things to talk about. Some of the things we'll talk about will be Underworlds related, more about the game in general, I think. Other games that we're playing or hope to play, the hobby in general, that kind of stuff. So, we want to try and make these much more wider, a much bigger sort of plethora of subjects to discuss, because that's a good way for us to grow the community, I think. So, first question, and I'll be interested to see what people's comments are. Which form Blitzbowl Maliki says, well, we're getting our Blitzbowl soon. Mike is doing a bang-up job. For people who don't know, I'm just going to quickly, before I go into the questions, one of our patrons, a beautiful man called Mike G, he is actually, we've sent him some money, he's organising to buy like 5 copies of Blitzbowl 2, and he's posting them over to us in the UK. Oh, Robin's here. Shall we let him in? Shall we? Go on then, let's let Robin in. Hello, Robin. I don't think anyone can hear you yet, so hold on a second and let me just change the view over. No. Right. Now it's all going to be horrible for a minute whilst we try and sort things out, so everybody please do bear with us, but hopefully they can now hear you, Robin.
My camera's not working for reasons I'm not sure of. Let's see if I can see it.
My camera's not turned on for reasons I'm not really sure of either. Because why would it? I mean, why wouldn't it? Oh, I know why. It's because of OBS. Oh, Robin. What have you done? Well, I can't use my camera now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you ballsed it all up with your love of football, Robin.
Sorry, darling.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. It wasn't even a love of football. It was kind of like a not wishing to miss out.
FOMO.
I was expecting as soon as I was watching England, we could see the goal. But I have stopped. But my camera isn't working, and I don't know why.
They're going to end up having a radio commentary today, then. They won't be able to see either of us.
Commentary. Now I will close down my Discord and see if I can.
Well, that'll be it. That'll be it, because Discord has you. I unfortunately can't, because I can't stop OBS from using my camera. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. But actually, this might work if I do this. Will this work? No, this will not.
But the camera was working, and now it's just.
This is why, people, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
It balls this shit up.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, here we are, back to normal.
Yeah. It was all too easy. I should have stayed away. I apologise.
We hadn't got very far. Well, I say I hadn't got very far because I hadn't really got into any of it at all.
Okay. I'm a complete loss as to why my webcam's not working.
Wolfman Gaz says, have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in again? Sound advice from Wolfman Gaz. I'm even going to try that with mine just to see if it makes a difference. And maybe it will. Wolfman Gaz, you're a genius. A genius amongst men, Wolfman Gaz. For you are here. You have solved my problems.
Right, it didn't work. So I'm not sure whether my webcam is not working or whether something else seems to be going on.
Well, Wolfman Gaz, you solved my problem, so I'll keep nattering away whilst Robin tries to work out his problem.
Okay, no, it's a Discord problem. I have got my camera to work in a different app. So
Right.
let's see.
There you go. We started on time, and I started going through things quickly, and now
Yeah, and are you saying it's me? Is that what you're saying?
I'm making no
you're saying?
such cut. I'm leaving everybody to draw their own opinions of it. Oh yeah, Wolfman Gaz. The next steps is to swear at it and then hit it. Those are the next steps in the process. That is 100% true. I was just telling people about the wonderful man Mike G, who is buying up copies of Blitzball. He has 4 copies now in his hands.
Yes.
So this is, frankly, it's fantastic. So that will be one of the games that we're going to do. So Robin, whilst you fight with your camera.
Awesome. Well, I'm now apparently working in Discord, so...
just need to turn it on. You have to click the thing that says turn on camera.
Ah, we are there.
There we are. Hey, we're back. Everyone can see us again. Do. Now you've turned your microphone off, you pillock. Can't hear you. Oh, so close and then so far. What did you do, Robin? What did you do? Why are you like, why? Why? Can you hear me? I'm assuming you can hear me. Alright, okay. Well, you have to... It's your own problem. Almost ready for action, Lazarus. We were almost ready for action. So as we can't hear Robin, I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to start going through stuff whilst Robin sorts his microphone out. And as soon as we start hearing him going, shut up, you idiot! Then we'll know that he's got his microphone working again. In the meantime, you can just see him there. Try to work his camera out, staring and shaking his head and looking angry. Mr. Marlowe is excited to see that Robin has a jumper, and I don't think it's one he's seen before. So a great development. We can hear you again, Robin.
Can you hear me now? I actually did unplug it and plug it back in again.
Whee! Lazarus saves the day again.
I don't know what's going on there, but yeah.
Problem is, we now owe my friend James about £5 because his company is called Have You Tried Turning It Off and On Again?
Is it?
Yeah. When he registered his company, the woman behind the counter, or the people who were sending him the emails, or whatever it was, didn't believe him. And then later on, when he was working, and they said, you haven't sent us your invoice for the work you've done. And he was like, I'm pretty sure I have. Let me check. And he went back and looked. And he found the emails. He was like, I have. Here are the emails. Here's my invoices. And they were like, oh, we didn't think this was a real invoice because of the name of the company.
Brilliant.
Wolfman Gaz is stunned that you have a jumper on. I think it's a great name, frankly. And it was great in 2 ways, because he started the company as a tester, and he found that a lot of the sites that he had to put his company name in on, that name was too large for the entry, so always testing at that point as well.
Brilliant. It's actually not that warm this evening. I may get hot now, because I'm in the dining room, we're in the living room, and my wife is, let's just say, of an age, so she just goes around opening all the windows at the time. So I'm continually frozen. It's only thin. It's only like a thin sports top. It's not that warm.
I was going to get a hoodie.
It's much warmer in this room than the living room, where I've been watching the football.
I was going to go and get a hoodie, and then I couldn't be bothered, and I was kind of sitting thinking, am I going to be too cold? But now I'm not. I'm okay. I'm all right at the minute. So
yeah, I'm now overthinking it and going to be too hot.
Yeah.
So I've worn this jumper loads as well. No, Andrew, loads. I wear it, quite often wear it to the garage. If you have seen it.
It's a classic one. Well, you might have seen an arm. I guess we do the intro bit his face up. So.
And when I do my talking head things.
Oh yeah, true. Good point. So
yeah.
I've done the I've already given the announcement about Taylor's. I don't know if you actually include on the thing, but Brandon Huss's son Taylor Huss is working with a man to do a competition. So I've already announced all that stuff and put some links out there, and I will update the description later on with that one. So I've already done that. We then talked about football a bit and how we didn't really see the point in it, and some people made some good points about it, but overall
there isn't really any point in it, is there?
Not really, but it's like any competition. It's like the Olympics, isn't it? So
it's a bit hard to. But we're sitting there talking about a miniatures game. It's a bit hard to comment on things that don't have a point.
It's true. So we've got some questions from Mr. Marlowe. Now, a couple of them you made a comment about that we might save a whole episode for, so I'm not going to go through those ones. Okay. And I was also saying to the lovely viewers at home that we're also trying to work out and that's how I got onto the comment about Blitzball, is that obviously with Underworlds has now finished, well, this season all the releases have occurred now, so we're going to have to start thinking about other stuff to talk about on these Tuesday Night Lives. We can talk about Underworld stuff, but then other games, other things about the hobby, all that kind of thing. So other things we have to think about. So anyway, let's crash on with some questions then from Mr. Marlowe.
Okay.
So this first one I think is quite an easy one, and everybody in the comments do chip in with your opinion as well. Is which format do you prefer, Vanguard or Championship?
Well, no, I don't know is the answer to that question. At the moment, I would say Vanguard, but I think that's as much to do with the card pool as anything else. I don't really like, as I've said numerous times, I think, I don't really like any of the Arena Mortis cards. And I'm happy not to play with them. But I wonder whether next season I won't mind playing Championship, because I think these are much more balanced set of cards. But I may find, as the next season goes on, that I start to prefer Vanguard, in which case the answer will be Vanguard. So maybe Vanguard, possibly it just depends on the cards. So there's a long answer to a short question.
that was indeed. I think overall I prefer Vanguard right now, but I might move towards Championship once Beastgrave rotates out, because then we're going to essentially be playing Vanguard, and then we'll slowly get a trickle of more cards coming in. I do wonder, although actually I say Vanguard, I mean more Vanguard Plus.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. Yeah. Although we call it Vanguard most of the time, I do like playing all the warbands. Somebody else said they like playing. Laura said she likes playing Vanguard Championship for the warband variety.
Yeah.
But I think Vanguard, certainly towards the end of the season, I think Vanguard with basically the current season universal with any warband set of warbands works pretty well. I know some people say there's balance issues, but I don't think there is really.
Well, Malicious just says, well, the Vanguard's fun because as the card pool evolves, you do get that aspect of it, that you have a much smaller pool to start with, and as another warband comes out, more must-have cards appear. But I think in both exactly. Those... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say exactly that. I mean, obviously it does too for Championship, but it's a much diluted.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, I think Essentials I wouldn't keep in the Vanguard one for the most part. Oh, your audio's a bit crackly weird, Robin. Seems to have stopped again. Are you using the right audio? Maybe not. Right, so we're going to continue with the next question whilst Robin sorts out his audio again. Malik says, playing both is best of both worlds. Yeah, we can't play both at the same time. But I guess by playing Championship, you inherently play Vanguard just with extra cards. There you go, my little moment of wisdom there. So Vanguard's mostly because Lazarus says Vanguard's, but mostly because he doesn't like the Essential or Gift Pack Season 1-2 cards. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of those, to be honest myself. So yeah. Robin's still trying to sort his audio out, so we'll leave him to keep swearing at it and see how he gets on. So the next question was, which format, Vanguard or Championship, do we think is better for the game in a tournament setting? Well, I guess that depends on what kind of tournament you're trying to sort out. I think the Vanguard format is awesome. Oh,
can you hear me?
Yep.
Right, I'm actually on my headphones. If you can hear me, I think my USB port on the PC is a bit stuck. This one, the right hand one.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I think it's causing problems with the microphone, so I'm just going to use the headphones for now. If that's okay, if the audio is all right for everybody.
It's still legible, so should be fine, I think.
Okay, okay. I shall use that then.
Okay. So the next question, which you probably heard me read out, which format do we think is better for the game in a tournament setting? I was just saying that I think that Vanguard's great for encouraging newer players. There's going to be my upshot to however.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a difficult one. I think. I don't think that either is currently better than the other in some ways. I mean, I don't know. People made that video about whether there were too many cards. And I'm not sure when you get down to it. Once you've got 500 cards, I'm not sure any more makes it better or worse. But I think obviously Vanguard, at the beginning of a Vanguard season, the pool is much less. It wouldn't be so good for tournaments, I think, because you haven't got as much variety. I think.
True, that is true. I mean, you could possibly near the beginning of the season, you could play it Vanguard Plus at least, so you can get other warbands in there, I suppose.
Yes. But I quite like. I do quite like Championship because it's very similar to Vanguard, I suppose. At the very beginning of a season, when you've got sort of a new starter box and one season worth of cards, I think it's okay. It's quite fun.
Well, you're almost playing Vanguard then, aren't you? Because it's just like 10, 15 cards that have come out in the new box, and that's about it.
Yeah, you are.
So the next one I'm going to skip over right now because I think this requires more thought than I've given it right now. Because it's about if you can make your own file list, what cards would you restrict and ban and why? And I think there's some cards that I might knee-jerk pick off the top of my head, but whether they...
I don't think there are very many. I mean, I think the only one that obviously needs fixing is the Furious, whatever it's called, the one everybody wants, but restricted. But other than that, I don't think there are very many.
The one that basically heals wounds.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Ferocious Resistance, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ferocious Resistance. Yeah, that's the only one. That's the only one off the top of my head I think of need.
Some people have suggested Feral Symbiote, but I don't mind people using that because +1 strength. But it's got.
I think that's more just I might try to remember the card rather than a suggestion. Yeah, because it's the first one.
Sorry. Yeah, could be.
I think. But yes, there's nothing too wrong with that. I think there was Maliki thinks there were 3. So no point restricted for Vanguard. I can't remember what the others are. What otherwise would you suggest then, Maliki? Having said we weren't going to talk about this question, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Benji says because you how you used it in the final. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It is okay if you cheat with it. That is a very good point.
I've
forgotten that connection. I've forgotten you had previous with that card. Everything to prove.
Surge of
Is
Aggression.
that the one? Surge of Aggression, actually. I don't mind Surge of Aggression. I feel like you need a few cards which are, go your way. I do feel like that. But it doesn't give any. It's not a bad. It doesn't give anybody a bad taste in the mouth. Like a furious surprise in the mouth. It's just not nice.
Ooh.
A furious resistance. Sorry. I can't remember. I'm still so behind on the new cards. I don't know what everything to prove. Does it?
I'm just looking it up now.
Is that the one where you score if your opponent wins the primacy?
Everything proves an opponent has the primacy token, or there's one or more surviving for any quarry and you have the primacy. I mean, I don't mind that too much. It's a surge. It's one glory that you can get when your opponent gets primacy, but they're probably going to have cards which are going to score for them when they get primacy and stuff anyway. So it kind of levels the playing field out a little bit.
It's one of those. It's a bit rubbish. You're not actually doing anything there. You know what I mean? It doesn't really feel very nice. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you're doing what you want to do with your warband, and I'm basically doing nothing, and I get rewarded.
True, but we had oh crap, what was it? That you had strong start, and you had the other one, which is basically one of your fighters dies at the start.
Well, martyred, yeah,
martyred.
I suppose so.
It's basically martyred, isn't it?
More or less. I mean, it's a little bit stronger than martyred because you can score it after somebody else has died. Or if you're, I mean, you can. It's an interesting card because it also, makes things like Proud Runner and Faint Strength a little bit weaker in the sense that there is a flip side. You play, you play Faint Strength, get the primacy, and then your opponent scores everything to proof. So, yeah.
True, but then
I haven't played enough yet.
Andrew Rice says that 2 easy to score surges, or basically instant score surges, are a bit dangerous. I don't mind when they're blanket available to everybody, because then a lot of people will take it, so it kind of just ups everybody's average score a little. It's when you have those really easy blanket to score surges that are only really easy in blanket score for some warbands. At least this is pretty much the same for everybody. So I don't see it's a bit like back when we had escalation stuff like that. It's a must-have card, but because you had it, the chances are often your opponent had it and scored it at the same time. So it's just everybody got a couple of glory. Saying that card was restricted, so maybe restricting this one as well, not a bad thing.
There's a kind of trade-off, isn't there, between deck variants?
Yeah.
Because you want people, you don't want cards that are obviously stronger than the others, although you end up with the same cards being picked all the time. But at the same time, I think everybody has a better game if there's some reliable glory available.
Yeah,
and that's why I quite like Escalation as a card, because it meant that you could get 2 glory if things are going badly for you, and then that might pull you back into the game, which is better for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what the restricted slots are for. So rather than thinking of them as
variety slots.
Rather than thinking of them as a way of sort of making a card that's been badly designed, kind of fit into the game a bit better. Think of it a way of stopping you from taking too much easy glory, and that's part of the design of the game, in the sense that you do want most cards, but you can score a bit of glory, but you don't want it. Otherwise, the game's rubbish.
True. Andrew Marley says that he might go so far as to restrict a couple of Hedkrakka surges because they are bonkers. They do. I think out of all the warbands so far, well, all the warbands this season, I do think they've got some of the best cards in there. Maybe the Bony Boys as well.
Bring it on is a bit nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got those cards that enable you to do attacks all the time. That one needs to be restricted.
I reckon that could end up on the restricted list. That's probably one of the best upgrade cards you can get, especially when you can put it on almost anyone. Normally, those kind of cards, they're like, you can put this on red cap or stick it, and you're like, awesome, I'm never going to fucking do that. But, I think they even had one, didn't they? They had like, when once somebody made a grot bow attack, this person could make a grot bow attack against the same target as well, if they were adjacent or something like that. It's like, awesome, but it's shit, so no one's going to bother doing that. But that card for the Bony Boys, it's like, I can give this to a fighter who's got a range 2, 3 hammer, 4 damage attack. That's just insane.
Absolutely. And you can use it more than once.
Yeah.
You could with the shooting one as well. But yeah.
But yeah. Sorry?
It's crazy.
Yeah, but like Maliki says, at most we would probably struggle to come up with maybe more than about 4 or so cards. So, that's not a bad sign.
Maliki says a shortcut restricted. I don't think it was.
No, I don't think it was either.
Well, I may have misremembered, but I don't think it was.
I think it was, because there weren't that many people that could score it easily without taking ploys.
No.
So then you're dedicating some of your deck to something which may or may not come out at the right time, which is always a risk.
Yeah.
Hello, Morph's in the house. I don't know if you've seen Morph, but our steps towards getting Blitzbowl 2 are a little bit closer.
Turn around.
So, the next question on the list then, after that one that we said we weren't going to talk about that we did, it says, with so many warbands to choose from and hundreds of cards to make a deck with, do you think that it's overwhelming for new players to the game, or even for veteran players?
Yeah, overwhelming for me. Which kind of ties back into the Vanguard thing. It's one of the reasons I like Vanguard is it is less overwhelming. You have half the cards to choose from at this point, which is I prefer. And I think it is overwhelming for veterans, and I have on record as saying that we should perhaps Games Workshop consider rotating out the earlier seasons, sad that we would be keen to see them go. I think for the health of the game for new players, I think it would be better without being able to pass back to things that are unavailable in the game. And I'm not a huge player of many other games, but I feel like it's getting to the point where it's slightly unprecedented that you've got all this back catalogue which is unavailable that people can play with tournament level. I feel like that games don't run like that.
I don't know if that's ever happened in another game. Has that ever happened in another game where stuff out of print, no longer available, is still legal tournament-wise in a competitive game? I mean, I know that GW did it for things like AOS when they re-released it as AOS and stuff like that, but even then they produced sort of a half balanced sort of set of rules for here you go, you can still use your Bretonians and your Kemrian Tomb Kings and stuff like that back then. But I don't know if they've done anything like this now.
Yeah, I mean, those games are different as well. Things like, I know there are other formats where you can use older cards and what have you. I guess you've got relic formats for this, but I don't think this is playable for the kind of play at the moment. But I just feel like if I'm a new player and I want to get into the game, and okay, admittedly they are weaker, I still just feel that if you're turning up and somebody puts out some games, you go, oh, I'll put their tour, I'd like to play with them as well. You can't, because they haven't been available for 2 years now. I do think it's time to retire them, even though that's not a particularly popular opinion.
Yeah, I do think when we say is it overwhelming for new players, I mean for some new players it's never going to be overwhelming at all. I think for a lot of, especially younger, newer players, I don't think they even hesitate at the number of cards and stuff like that, and they just see it all and they're like, I want to buy it all and I want to immerse myself in all of it and put all the cards in a big pile and swim around in them like Scrooge McDuck. But I think for people like ourselves, older people, I'm just going to say, us of a limited attention span and time capacity, it's definitely a turn off when you see that kind of thing. And someone's like, do you want to play this new tabletop game? It's really quick and fast, but you've got to buy 1,000 cards before you can start playing it really competitively. I'd be like, no, not really.
Yeah, and I think even for younger players, the issue of actually playing against a warband that looks really strong and you don't play. Like, well, you can't buy it. You can't play it. You can't buy it. Well, I think it makes the game feel the feeling. Perhaps I'm wrong, but it just, to me, I wouldn't want to play something where playing like. But if I was playing X-Wing and somebody was playing with a ship that you could no longer buy, I'd be like, well, that's a bit pointless, isn't it? I think, even though I love some of the Freedom on Warband, I love playing that game with the Pulse Guard the other day. So I'm not suggesting that they can't compete or that they don't make fun games. They totally do. But I just feel like perhaps it's time to say they're retired now from certainly from championship play, and we're going to look forward because the warbands are more interesting and they have more shenanigans, as we've talked about before. So I think there might be another maybe somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I definitely think that Season 1 and possibly Season 2 warbands should be retired from Championship, Vanguard Plus, that kind of, well, Vanguard Plus is, is unofficial, so you can do what you like with it, really. I do think that maybe they should be restricted to just the relic competitions, because they are relics now. There is that thing that they are no longer applicable. Whether they're just going to take the approach of, well, you know what, they're kind of obsolete. Most people aren't going to play most of these bands most of the time anyway now, because you've got newer, better war bands with more shenanigans. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're relying on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to say, I'm not sure that a lot of the player base loves their old warbands, and I'm not sure the player base is big enough yet at the moment to piss them off. So maybe that's the reason for not rotating them out. If they did rotate them, they need to replace them with equipment reasonably quickly.
Alex says, we could do some relic prizes to promote it, Magor activation tokens, yeah.
That'd be quite cool. A relic tournament where you can't use new warbands to encourage more tournaments. Yeah, possibly so. I think Relic has a problem with a lot of the cards are bust.
Yeah, especially season 1. My turn, quick thinker, ready for action. I mean, those are all just, looking back at them now, they're just amazing cards.
Another one didn't make me too bad. The bandits, I just think it just dropped. I know, it's the same thing. It's, I feel like it's time to steal the Shade Spiral and all. But that's a personal opinion, and I'm not sure it'll happen. I just think you're moving forward into how many war bands is there? You're moving into another 8 or 10 next season. We'll have to get towards 50.
Yeah, because there's 8 per season. We've got 4 seasons plus another 4 war bands released separately. So it's just a ridiculous amount.
It's not unsustainable, but I just feel it's time to limit now. You don't need too much weight on you.
Yeah. So you might want to check your audio, Robin, to make sure it's not got any kind of lower end cutting out, because you're a bit cutting out a little bit. So
let me check. I'll still get back to my microphone. So that's really good.
Okay. Whilst Robin plays around with his microphone, let's see what's going on in the chat. Morph and Marlowe are having a chat about running. Morph says that he couldn't live without going running 5 times a week. I don't think I would survive going running once, to be honest. I don't understand this running malarkey. I'm definitely not one of nature's runners.
I've never been running, I have to say.
I only run when chased or if the ice cream man starts to drive off before I get there.
Right.
Mr. Myers is going to post his copy of Blitzball to his dad as a late Father's Day early birthday present. You, Mr. Marlowe, you and your dad, you make me jealous.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Can at the minute.
Well, I've switched to the razor again. So if I start to have a shave, you know why. That joke.
Laura says that she thinks making the game more accessible to new players is the most important thing. If old warbands were rotated out, there would be a lot of moaning, but people would get over it. I agree, Laura. People will bitch and moan whatever GW do anyway, so they may as well do something that's good for the game in the long run to encourage new players coming in, because the old players will bitch and moan and sit at the back anyway and keep doing what they're doing.
And the thing is, if you like the game, you're going to buy the new warbands and play those, and still play, Dark Sphere, for example, or still play down there with Chosen Axes, because nobody's going to tell them that they can't. But I think for tournament play, I just think it's time to not level the playing field, just time to trim the field a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Bitching and moaning is the hobby.
Bitching and moaning, buying stuff that you keep in its box, and posting pictures of what you just bought online. Those are like the three main cornerstones of the hobby. Okay, so the next question we have on the list is, to be a competitive player in Chasm, do you think it's realistic for a player to know most warbands and what they're capable of?
Yes.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, when you say realistic, I think obviously if you've just come into goes back to what we were saying. If you've just come into the playground, then it might be difficult for you to learn all 40 of them or however many there are. But I think if you've been around for a while, the best players have played everything numerous times. So yeah, I think if you want to do well, if you want to be winning Grand Clashes, then you need to know what pretty much all the warbands are capable of.
If you want to be somebody, if you want to win some glass, you better stand up and pay attention. Yeah, I think you've got to know what you're facing off against in all those cases. You've got to know when you're... Sometimes it's obvious. You look at Hrothgorn or Mollog and you think, okay, I can see which one of these is going to smash my face in. But in other ones, it's knowing those things like, oh, Glissette's always on guard. Shit, I didn't realise that when I tried to push her back with that attack that I knew was probably going to fail, but, would still push him back. Or, I mean, there's just so many other things. And being able to recall those at the same time, during a game, it's really hard to remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. Especially, but I think if you want to be good at the game, you have to remember that stuff. It's hard
Yeah.
for us because we're not very good.
I'm shit at this game. I'm absolutely sucking at it. I mean, people put in the comments what you are worst at in this game. For me, I I have two main problems. One is the fact that I can never remember what my deck has in it when I'm drawing, and I'm like, should I do this thing or should I draw a card? I don't know, because I just can't remember what's next. So, what the hell is it? The other thing I have is I tend to always go for that Hail Mary. If I can get these three things to go off in one go, I'll win 4 glory, rather than if I just stand on this objective, I'll get 2 glory approach. And it very rarely pays off, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Also, you roll shit dice.
That doesn't help.
That's the main reason. That's the main reason you lose.
I mean, I don't know if I do. Maybe over a game it evens out, but it's shitter when I need it to not be quite so shit. But maybe it's just shitter because I always go for those Hail Mary attacks where I'm like, I've got 2 swords against your 3 shields, but if this attack comes off, I'll get 16 glory. Oh, it failed. What are the chances of that?
Yeah. I always my problem when playing, particularly in tournaments, is that I do stupid things. So I just kind of like go, this is an unusual tactic. They won't see this coming, and the reason they won't see it coming is because it's shit. And I was just on playing it before, but suddenly at the end of the game, I said, this. I remember playing one of the main clashes. I think I've spoken about this before, but it was really early days when To the End was out. And I think it must have been when I was playing I played the Gits, didn't I? I played the Gits, and they changed they changed the cards, didn't they, just beforehand? So I thought, I'll
they
play
added a new file list.
There weren't very many draw cards left in the deck. Yeah, they took out Keep Them Guessing, I think, which is a shoot for the Gits, and then I thought I didn't have very much in-phase glory, so I thought, right, I'll play To the End. It's fine as long as whatever happens, just throw away the first 5 power cards. Matter, because at the end of the day, if they were your last 5 and you didn't get to them, then it's the same as throwing them out at the beginning. So I picked them up. First game, or no, second game was. I won the first game. No, narrowly lost. I won. I can't remember. Anyway, I picked them up, kept them because I thought, they're useful, and they were shit, and I kept them. And the only sort of one thing of what to do in every game was throw away the power cards first draw, and second game I kept them, and then funny enough I lost the game because I didn't score to the end.
I have this thing where I pick up my cards and I think these are shit, and then my brain goes, yeah, but if you do this and that works, you'll score this, which means you'll get 1 glory and you can put that upgrade on. Then you can do this and you can score that objective, which means you can then get another glory to put that upgrade on. So my brain then goes, this is possible. You can score all these objectives and use all your upgrades. What happens is obviously 1 or 2 of those dice rolls surprisingly don't go the way you want because that's dice, and then the whole thing bricks and I'm fucked. Whereas I should just sit and go, these are shit, I'm going to get rid of them because there's no easy scores in here.
Yeah.
BJ says that one of the reasons why he stopped was because of the card building, and it is one of the bits I struggle with most is still deck building and stuff like that.
Yes. I don't mind deck building, although I find physical deck building is a chore. I love doing it. I don't mind doing it on Underworlds DB, but then now because now we're playing in the garage again, and I have to go and find the cards. And of course, I didn't file them away properly last time because I was busy when I got in. I thought, I'll do that tomorrow, and then I don't do it. So they gradually get more and more chaotically ordered until eventually I do have to sort them out. And it's like, it just takes me forever. Then I can't find a card. Then we get into the garage, and I discover I put the wrong card in the deck. And that happens probably at least every other week, possibly every week.
Every week.
Every week. Yeah.
It's I'm going to be brave this week. I'm going to try and bring 2 different decks. So that'll be interesting.
2 different guys.
Two different. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I'm going to bring an Orc.
I haven't.
You're like, I haven't got any, so I'll borrow one of yours.
I haven't got any decks. I thought you've got Aurochs and something else, have you?
I'm going to bring an Oryx deck, and I've also been given a pageant deck, which I'll be trying out.
Is that Andrews?
Yeah.
It's always Andrews.
It's always Andrews. I've got 16 pages of notes to go with it, so I shall be reliably fucking that up.
we should be sponsored by Marlow.
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be trying to bring both of those, which obviously means building 2 separate decks, remembering which cards go in which deck and which cards that are in one deck you have to swap out to put in the other deck. So
Yeah,
I will probably bugger that up.
yeah, that's one of the reasons I normally end up with cards. But yeah, I haven't even got one deck yet. I've got like a Soul Raid deck with far too many cards in it. So
The worst part was I picked up another deck. I was like, well, I'm going to use this deck because it only needs a few tweaks because it was championship based rather than Vanguard based. So I was like, I'll use this. I'll just take out the ones that are, non-Vanguard valid, and I'll just put in some, there'll be some equivalents that I can use from Chasm. And I stripped out. It was like, oh, there's 5 objectives, 4 ploys, and 6 upgrades. This is not a ready-made deck.
Tim's in the house. The Master Orc. Speaking of the Master Orc, are we going to do our announcement that we won the competition?
Yes, I think we could probably do our announcement of who won the competition now.
Okay.
So we had loads of really great entries. And I've got a few notable mentions here. So I'm just going to read a few out. These did not win. So if you hear your suggestion read out now, you haven't won at this point.
You are not the winner. You are not the winner. You are Scotland. You are Scotland in this scenario. Not England because they didn't win either. But you are not the winner.
So did England get through, by the way, or are we through to the next?
They were going to get through anyway. But they won, so they win. They're top of the group.
Oh, okay, right. Right,
they carry on playing Wembley.
Okay. So, a few notable suggestions that came up, which I quite liked. One was Shaman Foul Whack and his Bonky Boys. Can't go wrong with Bonky Boys. Another one, which I think the writer was also an orc because his sign-on was Tommy Toenail. Suggested that given the nature of the names that they'd already picked, maybe the name Rita's Block might be a good one. I can see that. Some weirdo suggested Orc Tim. I don't see that one ever catching on. And one of my personal favourites, but not the winner still, one of my personal favourites, but not the winner, was Howard. I think that was a non-UK entry, so we couldn't pick that.
Howard might have been the winner had it been a UK entry, but sadly it is UK only competition.
Yes.
Which does include Scotland, so you can win if you live in Scotland.
Yeah.
All is not lost.
Or Ireland even. We'd probably get to Ireland just about.
Oh, I don't know.
So the winner, and we picked this one for a couple of reasons. Some of the names are quite good, but also they went the extra mile and they've tied it into a theme, quite a relevant theme actually. After our games of God Tier last week, was the Warging Stones by Mr. Milan, and he had Muck Dagger, which I really liked, Teeth Richnard, which was also fantastic, Snarly Grots, just brilliant, and Fry and Bones. Now, if anyone's not sure what the hell that means, it's basically the Rolling Stones with Mick Jagger, and you can obviously get them out. Nigel. So, thank you for all the suggestions. They were fantastic. Mr. Milan, you are our winner. I think I saw you already online tonight, Mr. Milan. Are you in the chat at the moment still?
Nigel nogging back and misses out. Sorry, Nigel. Next time.
I mean,
it won't be good if we do a Soul Raid competition.
So, Mr. Milan, are you online? I mean, we've got your details anyway, because it just so happens I think you are also a patron supporter, which has nothing to do with it. It was open to everybody.
Bezzy's gutted his bonk snick. DHK story didn't win it. For me, it was close, I have to say.
Yeah. I loved the backstory on that one. That was great.
But I just love the Mick, whatever it was.
It was tying it in. Muck Dagger and Teeth Richnard.
Muck Dagger, that's it. Muck Dagger, yeah. Just that was brilliant.
I love the fact that the Teeth Richnard kind of worked in the fact that teeth they use as money as well, which makes them rich, but also he's hard.
Yeah.
So it worked in so many ways, but it was close, Bezzy.
And Bezzy, you knocked me out of the Patreon league, which was a bad idea.
Nothing personal.
Yeah.
Nothing personal.
That didn't have any bearing whatsoever, but I didn't even bother to read your entry. No.
Rather than he's dead to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
who are you?
Mr. Milan, I'm sure you're in. You might have exited since. I'm sure I saw you say something, say hello earlier, but not to
He
worry.
gets up early. Maybe he's gone to bed. He was there right at the beginning. I just had a look. He was there right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or maybe he's just fainted with
Shock.
with excitement. Oh,
Could be.
sorry, Betty. Lady Harrow's reaction. Always forget that one. That's a late entry.
So there we go.
Sorry,
Congratulations.
Was it? Sorry,
Sorry?
Peter, I interrupted you. Was Lazarus responsible for Howard? Was it Lazarus?
I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that.
I think it was. So congratulations, and thank you everyone who did take part and enter some fantastic names in there. The only thing I regret doing these giveaways is that we can't give away something to everyone who enters, because frankly I think they're all great.
Yes, I mean we could, but it would be rubbish. It'd be like pebbles. Maybe literally rubbish.
We would literally, it would literally be, here's a Coke can that I've crushed.
Empty crisp bags from my children's box.
So there we go. There's the giveaway done. Let's watch the concurrent viewers plummet. And no, I'm sure people don't hang around just for that kind of stuff. So let's get back to the question. So a non game related one, a bit more of a generic, easy one to answer. When will the new garage/studio be finished? It's not garage, it's a studio.
It's a piece of string. It's a piece of string. It's so nearly finished, but there's a delay on the windows. So basically, as soon as the glass comes in for the windows, the window man will come and fit the windows, and then it'll be pretty quick because it just needs a bit of a coat of paint and a floor put in, and it'll be done. And the guy who does it is really fast, so it should be really fast. Just waiting for the windows, which we're going to be 2 weeks, or a week and a half ago, so I think it's going to be a little bit longer than that. But we'll just wait to see. Oh, Andrew. That's a terrible joke.
Can see right through that.
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Yeah. I'm going.
Just going. Because once the windows are in, like you say, he's got to put the floor down, which, given it's laminate, is going to be a really quick job. And then you've just got slap of paint on the walls and put some skirting board in, and finished.
Yeah. Pretty much. The electrics are all in. Hopefully they haven't got soaked. The electrics are all in, and so and the internet cables in there and everything. So
it's going to be fantastic. Fantastic. Then all we've got to do is get the table and stuff in there, and we've got everything we need to start with, and then we crash on from there. Yeah.
I'm hoping we're able to put too many egg boxes on the walls. Because that was for the aesthetic of my lovely new building.
You could use curtains, I guess. Just have something you'd hang instead, and then you could take it down.
Yeah, that's true.
Although if you get
know when there's going to be a Windows update. That's very good. I keep hitting the Windows button. But nothing happens.
I tell you what, after all these, I'm starting to glaze over.
Wish I was deaf and blind.
You could think of it. You could get much more nicer looking egg boxes as well that you could put around on the walls in certain places.
Nice, free range egg boxes. They're not in the same place when you go back the next day. They're like, what put that over there?
You could put very posh ones up on the walls these days that look very, very pleasant. Almost look like a work of modern art.
I like it. Interesting idea. Barrel and ball egg boxes.
Yeah. Same egg boxes, they just cost 60 quid instead.
Yeah. Jamie Oliver egg boxes.
Yeah, pretty much. So another question, a bit more. Paintbrush in my beard should be a permanent feature. How many paintbrushes can I fit in whilst we chat? Let's see.
Slightly disturbing, I'm not going to lie.
It's when they go through the nose that you've got to worry.
Okay.
So another question: how many more seasons do you think they'll make of Underworlds? How many do you think, Robin?
I think they'll keep going until people stop buying it. So I don't know, but I think it's got legs. The only reason it will stop, I think, is if they decide to change brand and go to 40 Underworlds.
That sounds very dodgy.
40 Underworlds. Or Wonder Munder then. Unless they move to a futuristic setting, I think they'll keep going. And why not?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to keep paying. They're going to keep doing it. So why not keep producing models for it? The only thing that might stop them is if they just run out of ideas. But I mean, there's nothing stopping them rehashing old ideas. That's kind of their MO, isn't it?
Well, I kind of like as a design company, it's kind of their job to keep having ideas, and they're employing people to do them. Oh, yeah. He said Lazarus said he was in Harrow and he was in the UK, but you didn't say you were in the UK. You had to say if you were in the UK.
Oh, how odd.
Oh, I feel bad now, but yeah, you had to. One of the stipulations you had to say you were in the UK.
Our hands are tied.
That's just disturbing.
I've run out of brushes. That one's coming out. There we go. They're actually sort of making the hair weave in between them, so they're actually quite... Oh, I've knocked them all out. Here we go. How many brushes do I have? Well, those are the ones I currently sort of use. Although, I'll tell you what, these white ones, the GW ones, yeah, these synthetic ones, I think are shit.
Well, I could have told you that without buying any.
Well, I thought they might at least... I thought they might hold a point a bit better or something, because the bristles are meant to be stronger, but they don't. They're crap.
This just in. GW hobby products are shit.
Who'd have thought? Nobody saw this coming.
While I was opening yet another pot of paint that are more or less dried out today, I was thinking pretty much exactly the same thing. But luckily I could rescue this one with some paint medium. It was all right. And I put it in a dropper bottle, Pete. You'd be very proud of me.
John Grant says that synthetic brushes are always shit. Now, I know a lot of people who are very good painters. Well, I don't know them personally, but I know that there are some very good painters out there that only use like synthetics or only use like dollar brushes or whatever, and they have fantastic results. Maybe this is just a result of the fact that, you know, people who are fantastic painters could make fantastic paint jobs with a roller, you know, and idiots like myself need all the help they can get when it comes to brushes. But I was genuinely hoping that the synthetic ones would be good just for, you know, just for the more base coaty kind of stuff and that. Maybe they're just not very good for contrast, which is what I was doing most of.
I thought they'd be alright for contrast, but who knows? I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried to use them. I've got a couple of cheap synthetic brushes I use for dry. I don't use them for dry brushing anymore, but I use them for some stuff that I don't even know what I use them for. Do I use them for anything? I have got a couple of cheap synthetic brushes.
I use the
Yeah, I've got. I think mine are a bit smaller than yours, but yeah, I use those makeup brushes.
I've got some small
I find
ones
the
as well.
only problem with those is when you want to do a small area.
Yeah.
They're a bit massive. But I did buy some very cheap flat ones, like flat-ended brushes to do. Bloody hell. Just do dry brushing with.
I only had this many brushes because I'm a cheap bastard who doesn't throw anything away. I've got stuff here like the original red GW fine tip things.
I think. Do you do the thing I do, Pete, which is buy a new brush but then not use it because you don't want to spoil it and carry on using your shitty old one? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Don't want to get paint on it; it'll ruin it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a bit like I worked with a guy, very good friend, worked with him for years and years. He bought a new umbrella. It was like a 50 quid umbrella, all single dancing. It was windproof and all this stuff.
Dancing umbrella, fantastic.
It was windproof and all this kind of stuff. And he came into work one day with it and he was well pissed off. And we're like, "What's up, Steve? Is your umbrella no good?" He's like, "Well, it's wet now, isn't it?"
Lazarus hopes we will still refer to the garage as the charm. It's referred to as the shed, so it may end up becoming the shed. Even though it really isn't the shed.
Yeah.
It might, yeah, it's hard to tell. We're probably going to bounce between about 1 million different phrases for it as well.
Probably. Probably. I don't think we'll call it the garage though. That'd get confusing.
Yeah, we need to keep the garage just so we can go, this is much better than the garage. Or the old garage.
Yeah.
So,
Bungalow. Yeah, bungalow would be quite good.
So the next question, Wolf says nothing wrong with cheap synthetic brushes for painting. I mean, I thought the GW, maybe if I get some non-GW ones, they might be quite good. Milky says that you just need the RAF 8404 size 1 and 2, and that's all you need. I mean, that's kind of what I've been using for ages. I was just worried that the, because I use them for metallics and contrast and everything, I was just wondering it might bugger them right up.
Leave the tips and straighten out the hooks. So just good advice for life, that is.
See, I haven't got the synthetics I got from GW. They haven't got any hooks on them, but it's just the minute any paint goes on them at all, they don't have any kind of tip whatsoever. Whereas the Raphael ones I've got, I can literally dunk them in paint almost, and they still have a really fine tip on them. So I don't know. The Fungalow, says Milky.
I find the two too fat on my rafts. I know the good painters really rate the 2, but I find it's too massive.
I've got the 1
actually. I don't know what that says about my painting. Okay, I don't know what that says about my painting. I use the 1 most of the time.
Yeah, I've got the 1 and the 0.
Two at the beginning. The 2 at the beginning, I've got a 0, which I quite like too. But the 2 I find too big.
I find the 1 has a better tip on it than the 0 does. Weirdly.
Yeah, sometimes. I know what you mean.
So, what's the next question? So the next question is kind of related, I guess. What will happen to the channel when Underworlds becomes an obsolete game? I'd like to think we'll just be playing something else.
We'll pack up. We won't do any more.
We're not the Shed Down. TNT.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd get a lot of hits for that, I would think, if we did that.
Idiots online blow up £10,000 shed.
But maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure my wife was very impressed.
Probably not. Probably not.
Well, I think we play something else. I mean, we already playing God Tier, and we're going to play Necromunda week after next. And I would love to play some Marvel Crisis Protocol. So yeah, if Underworld's completely ceased, we'd play at least those. And I would probably think we'd try and pick up maybe one more GW game in there, because that's what people like to watch mostly.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy with what we play, to be honest. I mean, Underworlds was our thing when we first started, but we've already started. I wouldn't say we've moved on away from it, but we've definitely sort of expanded our repertoire. So I think if something like Underworlds did drop off the scale, we would just pick up some other things, and like you say, Necromunda and things like that. I'd quite like to, we've got Blitzbowl, which would be like to play and stuff like that as well. Yeah, I just think we'll just play other things.
Yeah.
I meant to come back to a point here. Someone just said something about. Milky said something about to condition the brushes. Why would I condition the brushes, Milky? Do you mean for? Who was it who said that? I've missed that completely.
Stu says condition them with brush soap overnight.
Is that the RAFs we were talking about? There?
Use pan 10.
Well,
pan brushes.
I've got this. I've got the old brush cleaner.
Agents of Blitzbowl.
Agents of Blitzbowl, definitely. I need to use. The trouble is, I don't know about anybody else. I don't know about you, Robin, because I frequently, or very infrequently, have a long painting session. I will do a little bit, and then I wash everything and just go away, and then I'll come back and do a little bit later on. So I just don't want to keep using the brush soap every single time.
Yeah, I don't use mine every time. I haven't actually got that brush soap because I bought before I heard of it, I bought a bottle of brush cleaner, which it's taken me at least 3 years to get through. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
This does seem to really get the really dried in stuff out of the ferrule out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That is.
It does have a very pleasant citrusy smell.
It does. Well, I can't say it does. I don't know, but it says it does on the tin.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah, I'll do smell. You do taste. All right.
No, but don't leave it in a yogurt pot.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Because it melts the bottom of the yogurt pot. Which, when I think about it, it is for melting acrylic. So I suppose it's kind of fair enough. But a bit of a surprise.
I got a I think it's Tamiya or something like that. They do little glass things, and here's my sample. I can take to the doctors tomorrow.
Okay.
They do little mixing pot ones, so I went and got those from the shop. So,
they're nice. I like those.
Work quite nicely.
I like those.
BJ says use the brush soap every session. Never had an issue. I mean, I don't have a problem with the ones I've got. I just think it's the fact that I think these what
shampoo will do. Interesting.
Yeah, because it's just hair, isn't it? Do you know how long it took me before I realised that when they were talking about Kalinsky Sable brushes, they were talking about the breed of animal?
One chap called Kalinsky. He's got no hair left.
Well, I thought maybe it was like a style, the Kalinsky, and it was some bloke called like Dave Kalinsky or something like that who,
Right.
who designed these brushes. I didn't realise that it was a sable, the animal, the sable, and it was a breed called the Kalinsky Sable. Like, oh.
I didn't know that either. And is that why GW are doing vegan brushes?
Yeah, probably. I'm guessing there's a lot of poor little rodenty things getting killed for our brushes.
Yeah.
Could they just pluck them? Just sort of rotate them around, so just like little bald patch that they just pluck out of one and let it grow back. Anyway, I think actually, Lazarus, as your suggestion was so good, I think we're going to add a second winner, and we're going to make you the second winner.
Yeah, we will.
So, you win a copy of Hedkrakka's as well. Add the Silent Menace pack.
Yes. Yeah.
So, do we have your... I can't remember. Lazarus, you are a patron, aren't you? You joined us recently, so we have your details. We will be in touch.
What happens to the garage now? Will it be preserved for posterity? Depends what you mean by preserved and what you mean by posterity. It will basically have all the shit put back in it that's not in there because it's got a studio in there at the moment. That's effectively what's going to happen to it.
The minute the table comes out, all the bikes go back in and everything else will go back in there. And as soon as we get some nice shelving to put up in the studio, all the boxes and games and stuff will come out of there and things like that.
Yeah, it's basically I've been waiting for the shed to be built so we can do this massive kind of, those sliding puzzles that you used to have to get with the numbers, get them back in order. That house is like that. So there's like a lot of stuff that I need to put on the shelf in here. But before I do that, I need to take the games out and put them on the shelves in there. But I can't do that until the shed's built. Now, basically, everything in the house is going to be moved around, shuffled along, and down into that position.
And as soon as the studio's up, there's just going to be something like this day of everything moving, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh.
Yeah, won't be able to get in the studio because it'll be full of boxes.
No, that's never mind. We'll just be sitting on the boxes rather than chairs. Who needs chairs?
I'm actually going to have a big game car as well because something's like I really don't need to transport this out to the garage. I'm just going to take Dominion down the charity shop.
I was going to have that. They won't take that. They might just stick that in landfill, mate.
I'm not going to do that. I've actually got a little idea that I'm going to try and do with my Dominion set, but I'll more about that if I actually bring it to fruition, which probably not. But
where's that? There's the narrator's voice. He did not end up doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. All the wedding photo boxes can be taken off the door and back into the garage. That's right. They can dig them up again.
Go and get them back from the charity shop. See, I told you they'd store them for us, love.
Indeed.
Another slightly off topic one. There was a... Sorry, go on.
Go on, I was about to go back to the question. Did you deliberately miss out number 6?
Yes, I was just picking some more off the rules ones.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Agents of God under protocol. Brilliant, love it.
So what have we got? I really like the idea, the look of the Street Fighter minigame. VJ's just mentioned it, but from what I understand, it was an absolute fortune to get all of it together. So that's off the cards basically. So another question we've got, really quick one: will Agent Con be this year, or will it be sometime in the future? I believe it was canned for this year, wasn't it, Robin? It's been moved to next year.
They certainly, if we were going to do one this year, it wouldn't be through the tabletop gaming live, because that has been it's been postponed and cancelled. But it will be in the future. I can tell you, it won't be in the past. It will definitely be in the future. Slightly facetious answer, but yes, we do definitely hope to do one. I haven't heard when they're going to do tabletop gaming live. I wonder whether they're going to shift it to the spring next year, sort of not bother with, because it was meant to be in September. Whether they were going to jump 6 months rather than 12, but I've heard nothing. So, well, we will do something.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about other games that we could play instead of Underworlds, there was that other one, I don't know if you mentioned it, Robin, the one with Kickstarter backed, which, is that coming out 2022? Creature Castaway?
I say Creature Comforts then. Creature Comforts, the board game. That would be awesome. Yes, so I think it is 2022. Yeah, so that'll come along.
Milk Paint says Bard Sung. We didn't back Bard Sung in the end, and we
didn't back Bard Sung, no.
Could definitely see us doing more God tier, because that's really quick and easy to pick up actually, and you buy a warband, there's no deck building involved, so you can just buy it, paint it, play with it.
Yeah.
And I still think that has enough technical. Sorry?
I was sure, yes, there will definitely be more God tier.
Yeah.
Enjoying that.
I'm warming to God tier, even though I haven't quite got my head around it yet. I think the good thing about God tier, and I think we should do possibly a whole episode about God tier as well, but I think one of the things I like is there's never a situation where all of your fighters are out of action, because champions never get fully taken out of action. So there's always a chance that you can pull things back, whereas like in Underworlds, you keep scoring after everyone's dead, but you don't really actually score anything after everyone's dead most of the time. So
you can put it back in Underworlds, I think, but I think you don't have. Maybe it's because we're not so good at this game. We don't understand it so well. I don't feel like there's the opportunity for so much negative experience. Maybe there is, but I feel like it will never go really badly wrong.
Yeah. I'm sure some people would argue, that just means it's not, complex enough if you can't get your opponent into that kind of position, but I would say that maybe they just made it a bit more balanced. I don't know. I
think because of the way it's scored, we've talked about this before, but the way it's scored, each round is scored a different thing, and victory points, they go 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 for the rounds. So you've always got a chance until that middle of game has been settled. You've got a chance, and then you still might have afterwards. But then it's over, and you're not playing. You're not carrying on playing, even though you've been bringing it into the ground because you lost, and that's it.
You can just go right. Okay, we're at the end of round 3. You've won round 1 and round 3, so you've got 4 points. I can't beat you. Shall we rack up another game or whatever that might be?
In that case, you could, Pete, because you could still score 5.
Just realised that. In that one example, you could. But if someone wins round 2 and 3, you can go, well, there we go. Let's play another game. So, next question we had was, with the introduction of every season, more micro rules are being added to the game, and do we think there are now too many, or do we think it's better for the game as it gives more creative space for players? You first, Robin?
Do I think there are too many now? I don't think there are too many at the moment. I think the problem with them there's a risk that one might be unbalanced, or what tends to happen is, to avoid them being unbalanced, they tend to be a bit weak. So with the exception of primacy, which I think has added a dimension to the game that wasn't there, a lot of the extra things are largely irrelevant. Hunter Quarry's a bit more relevant, but mostly, I mean, it is relevant, but I don't really feel like it adds. Can't really explain what I'm trying to say, but definitely things like hunger and poisons and combo. They're neither here nor there, are they? Really?
Yeah, I think I was a bit disappointed to see combo was basically almost dropped as quickly as it had been picked up, and I feel like they could have done more with combo and made it not necessarily just another attack, because I think when it was 2 attacks it could be a bit overwhelming, where you just have like one fairly good attack come off and then another fairly good attack come off. That was enough to nearly always 2-shot a fighter with just one activation, whereas they could have made it like one attack and then an activity, like make them go on guard, or I don't know, just something where you could have done other things with it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that you've got that problem that they can be underpowered, and also you've got the problem that they then have to keep supporting them. If they don't support them, then any warbands created were predicated on that ability, like effectively the Blade Coven. I mean, the Blade Coven are pretty bad even with combo, but without combo, they're next to useless. And the combo cards will all cycle out soon.
I mean, they're not as bad as potentially Hedkrakkers, because Hedkrakkers is like you have to gain primacy to inspire. So
true.
You have to have a sufficient number of primacy cards
but that won't cycle out to a degree. But yes, you're right. Potentially, I don't know how many primacy cards there are for Hedkrakka to help you, but you can always play cards with primacy, so you can always put that rule in the game.
And I guess they have the reaction where it's a case of if they take somebody out of action, they can then just gain the primacy token. So they, in effect, their inspiration almost basically becomes the same as the Blade Covens at that point.
Yeah. So I kind of think I haven't really thought about what Hedkrakkers would be like with no other primacy cards in the game. But you can at least bring your own to the party, and then everybody's playing it. So then you can even play the cards. Well, actually, that's irrelevant. I was going to say so, I won't say that. So maybe it'd be okay. But yes, you're right. There are things like that, and even hunger. I mean, the vampire's hunger mechanic is a little bit underplayed anyway. But when that cycles out, you've literally only going to have the vampire's own hunger cards and their own hunger accumulation mechanic, which again may make them better, may make them worse.
I think they'll make them worse, because once they cycle out the ability to get rid of hunger tokens, inspiring them is, well, their inspiration mechanic effectively becomes the same as the Hedkrakkers and the same as the Blade Coven for the most part, in that they've got to kill someone to remove all their hunger tokens to inspire at the end of the round. So they're assuming hunger tokens get removed completely from the game, apart from the stuff that they have in their own warband, they become like a worse version of Morgwaith, because they don't inspire till the end of the round after they've removed their hunger tokens, whereas at least with Morgwaith and Hedkrakka they inspire immediately. Yeah.
So I think that's a potential problem, and they're not very good at carrying the things through. Obviously Hunter Quarry did carry through. Will we see it carry through into Season 5? I don't know. But it is an issue if they're going to keep doing these tokens. I mean, the tokens that are available in Beastgrave, I think none of them really made a reappearance, did they, in Chasm? So we had that whole token pack. I don't think any of them were reused.
There's the WAR tokens for the Morgoth's Crushers, and there's the token potentially for the Bretonian fighter.
Yeah, I mean there are. Yeah, I mean, so I think in going back to the question, I think it's okay, but I think it hasn't been executed as well as it might have been. Surprise, surprise. But it's fair enough. It's a difficult thing to do, and with each season they can make a correction. But I think they perhaps need, just for consistency's sake, they need less. I don't think it's necessarily complicated, but just for consistency's sake, they need less extra little bits, because we do have this problem with, like you just said, with the vampires bricking. And I agree, Andrew. Hunter, Quarry, and Primacy are much easier to implement and balance compared with combo, poison, or magic.
Is
I'm
poison
going
that
with
hard to? Is poison that hard to implement? I mean, that was just basically ploys, but with a range factor involved.
Yeah, perhaps, but it's just it's easier to make. The Hunter Quarry is quite nice in that it's balanced and it goes through. It's thematic across the all the cards and warbands. Whereas poison, it's to make it something bigger than it is. You have to probably belabouring the point a little bit. You
Yeah,
know what I
true.
mean? Like Hunter Quarry, you've got different facets to it, but poison is. They've got different cards, and you couldn't have like hundreds of different abilities and objectives, otherwise it would start to get a bit overwhelming and it would become poison grave.
Poison gravy. No, don't want any of that. Thank you very much.
Poison grave, yes.
No, thank you. Now, I don't know, and Andrew, you can clarify this if you want, or you don't have to. It doesn't really matter. When you say about there being too many micro rules, were you also talking about the individual warbands or just the game itself? Because obviously the various warbands have their own jiggery pokery going on as well. You've got the fish in the Fish Elf warband. You've got the Mortex, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers special move rule, massively overpowered rule. There's the Skinks have their skitter ability. There's a lot more little gotchas going on in the warbands now, and I'm not sure.
Lazarus. Sorry.
Yep.
Lazarus made a good point that I was going to make as well. That's a brilliant point, absolutely fantastic one. That they need to add the keywords into the rules. I think that's a real. There needs to be like there is for Fantasy Flight games. I think there needs to be like an update. I mean, they're not very good at regular updating their documents, but there needs to be a regularly updated document with all the keywords in, so you can just go and look at it and go, okay, so that's what Hunter Quarry does. That's what Hunger does. Not
at the minute.
And like every third question on the Facebook page is, where are the rules for Hunger? What do they do? I just like, it's just silly.
Yeah, and then they're relying. It's a bit lazy on GW's part in that respect, in that they then rely on content producers, whether they're bloggers or YouTubers or whatever, to then create this content for them. To say, you might not know what these things are, so I'm just going to explain it to you now. I mean, it's great for us. It means people come.
Sorry. Yeah, it is good. I've almost thought of actually doing a little, almost like a keyword document myself and having it publicly available, just so people can go to it. But I just haven't had time.
All requires effort.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what we would do is when the next season lands, we'll probably do a new how to play set of videos, but make them shorter and more specific to each phase, because I think some of the ones we did were quite long and winding. So we'll try and keep them shorter, more succinct, and then do ones which are around.
Not like us.
No, I know. I was surprised when I started editing it. But then we can put things in there like there'll just be a video just about Hunter Quarry. What is that? Hunger token. What is that? Primacy. What is that? And then just do it that way. Have you seen any of the Forky Asks short videos? So Toy Story 4, there was the character called Forky.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the shorts of Forky where he asks when? They're just like, he comes up, he's like, asks, what is computer, to Trixie, the Triceratops, who is all about computers, and she'll be trying to explain it, and he's just being an absolute idiot and just sort of butting in and making incorrect assumptions. It's like, oh look, they've done a whole set of Disney shorts about us.
So we can sue them copyright.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. Lazarus does point out that Babel can gain primacy just for the rules in the fighters. They can. We did say that is possible for them, but however, it just makes them a bit like a version of the Blade Coven, effectively, same as the vampires.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening. It's coming up to 11. Any more questions, Pete?
We have
those for another week.
We have, but I think we can keep hold of these. There's definitely some here which we could make a whole episode based around. So congratulations to our winners. Now we've got two, Mr. Milan and Lazarus. Congratulations, you have won those prizes, and we will get those sorted out and posted to you. And again, just a quick shout out to Taylor Huss. I will stick in the comments into the description of this video afterwards, and I will stick them on Facebook as well about the tournament. It is going to be on Vassal that he's put it up on. Like I say, the dates.
Is Vassal the same as Vassal?
Yes. Shut up. And they'll be on July the 31st and August the 1st, and it will be best of threes, I believe he said. Let me just check.
So what is it? What's
comment.
the tournament? I completely missed the beginning.
You went on, yes, you went on. So basically, it's a fundraising tournament. They're trying to raise some money for his youth group thing, and
cool.
So it's basically donate some money and join in the tournament. The winner will get a trophy, a glass trophy with their name and the tournament etched on it. So nice little bit of shiny at the end of that as well. And VJ thought it was pronounced the arsehole. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Potato, per arsehole. So I'll post this up on Facebook. Do make sure you're following us and watching us and all that good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Do shout if you wanted to ask any more questions about it. I can pass them on to Taylor, or I can get him your details, and then you can message him directly if you're interested in hearing any more about it. But it is being run by Taylor, and the man, the legend himself, Aman, is helping him out on that one.
A legend.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Brilliant.
So yeah, hoping he can raise plenty of moolah for that one, and yeah, good luck to him.
Yep. Good luck to anybody who takes part as well. When did you say it was? End of July, did you say?
July 31st, August 1st, so it's going to be like a 2-day event by the sounds of it.
Cool.
So hoping it'll be a big one.
Yeah.
So there we go. Thank you everybody for joining in. Hopefully you found that interesting. If you have any suggestions for what our next episodes could be about, do shout them out in the comments below, in the description, anything you might think about. Do follow us on Facebook, obviously on YouTube if you haven't already, and let us know what you want to see, and we'll keep thinking about what kind of content we want to produce.
Absolutely. It's that kind of time of year where we think about what's coming and what we're going to do and how we're going to change it up, and then just carry on doing the same thing.
Exactly. Every single time. I mean, still we haven't heard about Blade. Was it Bladeborn yet? Still haven't heard anything about that. And that could be a genuine option, I reckon. It's hex based.
It's going to depend on the mechanics, but we'll see.
Yes, it's got hexes. We like that. It's got warbands from Underworlds. We like that. We've already got them painted. There's definitely some reuse potential there.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. All right.
So we'll see you soon in the Chasms.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.